Welcome to Alaska Weather, a production of Alaska Public Media and the National Weather Service, Alaska Region. Produced and broadcast daily from the studios of KAKM, Alaska Weather provides complete forecasts, public, marine, and aviation for all of Alaska. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
Sometimes the best way to find a living is to stay right where you are and study with UAS online. Career-specific distance programs from the University of Alaska Southeast are the fastest way to increase your earning power.
We connect all over the world.
The National Weather Service.
Hello again, everyone, and thanks for joining us here for Monday's edition of Alaska Weather. On the warning and advisory map, we've got advisories out, winter storm advisories, or winter weather advisories, not winter storm, for the Brooks Range for gusty northeast winds to 30 miles an hour, causing blowing and drifting snow. Which will reduce visibilities to a half mile or less at times through tonight. And these are set to expire 6 a.m. Tuesday morning. And for the satellite imagery, you can see today we had low pressure here spinning off the southeast coast there, just west of Dixon Entrance. That pushed some showers into the southern panhandle. Drier conditions up to the north. Another beautiful day here across southern Alaska. But there were some showers here that were affecting Kodiak Island earlier today, right through there. And they've kind of drifted up toward the Kenai Peninsula. A little bit of moisture down in this area. And then back up to the north, some clouds here, the Kuskokwim Valley, northeastward into the central interior areas. And on up across the Yukon there, the upper Yukon Flats to the Brooks Range. And some better conditions back to the northwest and also down for the Seward Peninsula, Kotzebue Sound area on into St. Lawrence Island. Pretty nice day today, as well as over the Yukon-Kuskokwim Delta, and some scattered showers of those clouds here for the Alaska Peninsula. And more snow going on today, snow and fog much of the day there at St. Paul. Temperatures just above freezing due to this area of cloudiness out here. And then the precipitation became more showery there for the Fox Islands. And as I mentioned, less shower activity for the peninsula. And then in the colder air aloft here that continues to slide southeastward, snow showers a little more numerous there from Adak on out toward Shimia. On the chart today, here's that low pressure area responsible for the snow there over the southeast Bering Sea and the showers from about Atka on up to the Alaska Peninsula, but dry over Bristol Bay, and really much of the western interior all the way up to the western Arctic coast had variable clouds and dry conditions. Clouds are a little thicker there on the north side of the Brooks Range in areas, and then back off to the northeast, but there was some clearing there along portions of the Arctic coast. But Kaktovik had IFR conditions, very light snow and fog up in that area. And then a swath of snow here from the eastern Brooks Range right down into the middle Tanana Valley around Fairbanks, extending on down to McGrath. But that was very light snow in those two locations today. And then some cloudy skies extending eastward. South of the mountains, though, partly to mostly sunny skies with just a few clouds. And we have this area of showers there just south of the Kenai Peninsula, which pulled away from Kodiak Island during the early afternoon hours today. And then this system here continuing to weaken and move northward, and that kept the showers in over the southeast coast. For the forecast for tonight, again, that trough still hanging right along the coastline there, so some pretty good shower conditions, cloudy and wet there for the southern panhandle a lot more scattered and isolated as you move northward there toward Juneau, Haines, and eventually into Skagway. Dry for the North Gulf Coast, dry over much of the eastern interior Copper River Basin and the 40-mile country, but this upper level trough signified by that trough axis up there from the eastern Arctic coast on down to the southwest to near the Kuskokwim Mountains. There'll be some areas of very light snow, partly or increasing clouds here across Bristol Bay with some isolated snow showers beginning to show up and a little more extensive area of light snow. Again, possibly an inch falling tonight here over the central interior, cutting off as you get east of Fairbanks into the drier conditions to the east. And also south central Alaska, look for or the eastern Kenai Peninsula, look for a general increase in the clouds. Some of this moisture might slip up and bring maybe a chance of some rain or snow showers into western Prince William Sound, specifically over the northern Kenai Peninsula, Chugach to the Talkeetnas. That's just a slow, gradual increase in the moisture there, and still a risk of some showers, but with that low, looks like most of the moisture will be east of Kodiak Island, and again, showers over the southern southeast coast. Back to the west, snow will begin to taper off and end there gradually after persisting most of the evening there for the Pribilofs, and then the bulk of the moisture now coming down to the Aleutians, so look for the snow shower activity to increase from Adak all the way over to Nikolsky and Unalaska, and even the western portions of the Alaska Peninsula there, False Pass, and those areas. Otherwise, just very isolated showers up across Bristol Bay, and stays nice here. Pretty good VFR from the Yukon Delta up into the northwest interior, even through the Bering Strait to St. Lawrence Island. No problems there, and the wind's not all that strong. About the strongest you'll see would be through the strait, maybe 30 to 35 miles per hour out of the north, and pretty brisk there from Nikolsky over to about Adak. And then high pressure building into the western Aleutians, drying it out there with pretty light winds tonight. And then for tomorrow, that ridge moves eastward a little bit, and so those winds will be southeast, increasing to about 30 knots in the afternoon out that way. Otherwise, this low drops south of the peninsula, taking most of the moisture with it during the morning hours. Just a few lingering snow showers left behind there, and drying out, maybe some clearing for the Pribilof Islands and chilly and clear for the most part here from the Yukon Delta northward to the western Arctic coast, with high pressure in over the north slope. Pretty light wind conditions for the next couple of days coming up for those areas, but still with the moisture sliding northeastward ahead of the trough axis, which tomorrow will be lying right about that position there. So eastern Arctic coast, like today, some light snow and fog at times, and mostly from the Brooks Range southward in the central interior, areas of snow, and that'll extend south of the mountains through the Talkeetnas right down into the western Prince William Sound area. Again, chances of snow increasing throughout the day tomorrow, and really to a much lesser extent over Cook Inlet, but definitely a lot more in the way of cloudiness. Drying out for Kodiak Island there, northwest winds could result in a little bit of clearing as the showers stay off to the east in the Gulf of Alaska. Then that first trough moves through. We've got southwesterly flow and an upper trough swinging through the southeast coast, sliding in. So that's going to keep the shower activity going and keep it pretty unsettled and damp there, especially over the southern and central areas. And again, less of that up to the north. Moving on to Wednesday's forecast. Again, that trough now edging eastward to near or just east of the Alaska Range, extending up to the eastern Arctic coast. So the bulk of the moisture will be from the central interior Tanana Valley on up over toward Dead Horse and Kaktovik, and be a little more showery here. So mostly cloudy, chance of snow showers overnight tomorrow night. Could see 1 to 3 inches from northern Cook Inlet to maybe 4 to 5 inches northern Susitna Valley. And actually, the northern Susitna Valley could see maybe up to a foot of snow falling over the next 2 days there, all associated with this trough. Back to the west, difficult to tell how much moisture will actually get into northern Cook Inlet. Doesn't look like much at all south from Kenai on down to Homer. But chance of snow showers North Gulf Coast, Copper River Basin, especially the northern mountains in that zone, to a lesser extent there over the upper Tanana Valley and 40-mile country. High pressure building in, so less in the way of showers, decreasing showers, increasing clearing periods there for the southeast coast, but isolated stuff hanging in right through the afternoon. High pressure back out to the west, so pretty chilly conditions, colder air flowing southward here behind this trough. And mostly sunny though, clear skies, good VFR in most areas right up the west side there. Variable clouds toward the central interior. Pretty nice conditions and generally light winds for the Alaska Peninsula and the eastern Aleutians, but gales and storm force winds with this front as it moves eastward on Wednesday there. Winds increasing and precipitation just reaching AKwx by the afternoon hours. And for the temperatures across the southeast coast this afternoon, 50 at Sitka, warm spot today. Otherwise lower 40s, lower to mid 40s for the southern areas there. Klawock and Metlakatla both had 43 this afternoon, 46 at the state capitol, while Yakutat pushed up to 42. Valdez had 39, 38 in Kenai, lower to mid 40s here for Kodiak Island, 32 degrees up at Talkeetna, 26 Gulkana, 24 at Northway. A little bit of light snow falling throughout the day, very light snow. Flurries, cloudy skies, 16 in Fairbanks, 13 over in Tanana, and quite a temperature drop over the weekend from what you had Friday to what 16 this afternoon there. Fairbanks, otherwise just 7 at Fort Yukon with snow there. Anatuvik, gusty northeast winds -9. 13 below at Umiat Airfield, but the cold spot this afternoon up at New Ixit at -20. Kaktovik -7. -15 at Point Lay to 6 degrees at Kotzebue. Ambler at 10. McGrath, light snow at times today, very light snow, nothing measurable there, but 19 degrees, 18 down at Bethel. We have a 10-degree reading, that was at St. Michael, 7 degrees at Amonic, and Mountain Village, 14, 16 out at Makoriak, -1 at Tin City, and just 5 above over at Savunga. Out to the west and southwest, the Pribilofs were in the lower to mid-30s this afternoon. The coldest area, 25 degrees, a lot of snow showers going on out at Shimia, 32 at Adak, lower 30s right up to Unalaska, then upper 30s here for the Alaska Peninsula, and then cooling back down. King Salmon just 31 degrees this afternoon, but Iliamna was up to 41. Lows for tonight, 30s, lower 30s north, upper 30s south down that way. Otherwise, teens and 20s here across southern Alaska. Upper 30s for Kodiak Island, considerably chillier there, right around 20 for Bristol Bay. 20s, lower 30s for the peninsula. Upper 20s for the Aleutians, mid-20s at Pribilofs, just below 0 St. Lawrence Island. Well below 0 here up over the north slope to the eastern Arctic coast. 20 to 25 below. Some areas may even colder than that where you get the clearing. And for the highs tomorrow, again, much like today, staying well below 0 from the north slope areas out to the Arctic coast, and just above 0 here across the Seward Peninsula to St. Lawrence Island, and 20s for the eastern Tanana Valley, 2 lower 30s over the Copper River Basin, mid to upper 30s here for south central Alaska, 40, lower 40s there for the southeast coast. Again, southern areas could push up to 45 or 6 degrees. And then we've got 30s to near 40 for the Alaska Peninsula, lower 30s for the Aleutians. Flying weather tomorrow morning looks like this. Marginal VFR here across all of the southeast coast. Could be some areas of IFR in there as well tomorrow morning. Otherwise, breaking out here, Yakutat over to Cordova. Pick up some increasing marginal VFR. Kenai Peninsula, western Prince William Sound. Northward there, where possibly some IFR could develop, say around Windy Pass, the Alaska Range there, northward into, well, toward the Koyukuk Valley. Then some areas of marginal stuff up over the Brooks Range to the eastern Arctic coast. VFR back here to the west. And with the moisture dropping southward early on, look for IFR there from the eastern Aleutians out to near Adak. And also a band here on the western slopes of the Alaska and Aleutian Range areas, and some persisting marginal VFR for Kodiak Island. Then tomorrow afternoon, that all shifts off to the east, becoming VFR there for Kodiak, right up along the western Alaska Range. Areas of IFR persisting up over the central Alaska Range and along this area up to the northeast there toward Arctic Village, but good VFR back to the west, north slope. Lingering marginal stuff here, Kilbrook Mountains out to maybe Togiak and the Bering Sea here, but these conditions improving throughout the afternoon, and possible IFR here over the northern panhandle, mainly along the Alcan border. Passes Anatuvik, marginal, same forecast for Adigan. Lake Clark starting out IFR, especially on the western approach, and trending toward VFR throughout the day. Rainy, marginal, windy, IFR. Isabel looks pretty marginal tomorrow, but Mentasta, they'll be east of the moisture, so VFR flying through both entrances. Tanita, marginal VFR. Portage, marginal VFR trending toward IFR into the afternoon. And Chilkoot and White, marginal VFR, and look for the conditions to deteriorate to IFR as the day wears on. Freezing levels at the surface here near the Pribilofs, back down toward Atka, cutting through Bristol Bay, hugging the North Gulf Coast, and slicing through the Panhandle. And still have that area 2,000 feet, kind of getting narrow now, but here from Dixon Entrance right up to near Yakutat. Icing tomorrow, mostly above 4,000 feet, mixed types, areas of there across all of the southeast coast. And then with the moisture here from the Brooks Range right on southward into Prince William Sound, especially across the Talkeetnas, and most of that staying east of Cook Inlet to the eastern Kenai Peninsula, none out here to the west. And then with this moisture sliding southward early in the day, possible icing possibilities there for the Alaska Peninsula eastern Aleutians, but that's all sliding southward and probably will be over tomorrow afternoon. Upper level wind flow chart, here's the upper trough axis we've been talking about, and the southwest flow in advance of that, bringing the chances of snow mostly in over the east central interior and to a lesser extent down to the south. Higher pressure out to the west. This flow associated with that big storm is going to push into the western Bering Sea tomorrow night and on Wednesday. For the 9,000 foot winds, northeasterlies, pretty brisk here along the Brooks Range and about 25 knots along the west coast. 35 knot northerlies for the Fox Islands, diminishing and then picking up out of the southeast there for the western Aleutians. And for 3,000 feet, southwest flow, 15 to 20 knots at this elevation for the Panhandle. Very light over the southeast interior, gradually increasing northeasterlies 25 to 35 knots there from Noatak Valley out to St. Lawrence Island. Northerlies 25 to 30 across the eastern Aleutians, lighter for the peninsula and Bristol Bay. Turbulence-wise, they'll look for some isolated moderate chop here along the and south of the Brooks Range out into the Bering Strait and St. Lawrence Island. Pretty smooth most everywhere else, and just some hit and miss stuff here over the Aleutians. And after the break of Hangar Flying, I'll be back to look at the marine forecasts.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Mary O'Connor with the Alaskan Aviation Safety Foundation and the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health here in Anchorage. Welcome to Hangar Flying, which is brought to you by Alaska Public Media. This evening, we are happy to have Jared Hoagland on our show. Welcome to Hangar Flying, Jared.
It's great to be here.
Jared is the relatively new Executive Director for the Alaska Aviation Museum. He's been very busy planning the induction of 4 pilots into the Alaska Aviation Museum's Hall of Fame. So let's start with the Hall of Fame. Can you tell us what it is?
Absolutely. So every year, the Alaska Aviation Museum hosts the Hall of Fame. And really, it's an event to honor the men and women who have shaped Alaska's aviation industry. And really, because the aviation industry is so important to Alaska's as a whole, it's really about the growth and the change to the modern era for Alaska's history in general.
So can you tell us who are this year's inductees? Are they names that we're familiar with?
Absolutely. So first, we're inducting Dick and Lavelle Betts, and we're recognizing them for their work with their CAA and many decades of hunting and fishing guiding. We're also recognizing Harold Osmelka for his many years of operating many different air services, including Harold's Air Service. And lastly, we're honoring Steve Mills, who helped found Star Air Service, which is the predecessor company to Alaska Airlines.
Okay. And are all of these on the same level, or is there something that distinguishes one from the others?
We do distinguish them. We have a Lifetime Achievement Award, which we're giving to the Bettses. We have the Entrepreneur Award, which we're giving to Mr. Osmelka. And we have the Pathfinder Award, which is going to Mr. Mills.
Okay, great. How are these inductees chosen?
Well, as you probably are aware, we have a long list of potential nominees, and we do have a board committee who ultimately selects them. We typically choose 3 inductees. One of them is chosen as one of the early pioneers from the 20s or 30s who really started Alaska aviation. But we also choose 2 who are part of the more modern era, because we recognize, even as a museum, that the aviation industry and history is still being written.
Exactly. And I think that must be a very, very challenging role to determine the winners.
There are a lot of worthwhile candidates, absolutely.
Exactly. You must have a lot of challenges in choosing so many.
We do.
People deserve to be nominated.
Many deserving folks, and of course, as a museum, we're here forever, so many more will be recognized.
Good to hear. So when is this celebration?
So the Hall of Fame this year is on March 18th, and it'll be held at the Wings of Freedom hangar in Merrifield.
And how would somebody go about getting tickets?
The best place to get tickets, or even to become a sponsor of the event, is to visit aviationhalloffame.net or alaskaairmuseum.org.
Okay. And I understand that last year's event was sold out. Are you looking
Absolutely.
to sell out this year's event as well?
We're actually very close to selling out at this point. And so if you want to take part in the event, don't hesitate to contact us, but it will be a sold out event.
And is it a formal event? It's in a hangar.
It's semi-formal.
Okay. Okay. And can you tell us what people might have to look forward to? Presentations?
The biggest thing is our inductees, the Betzes and Mr. Osmelka, will actually be on hand to give some speeches. And so you'll be able to meet the inductees, the Hall of Fame, if you're at the event.
That's wonderful. I think it's a great opportunity to meet some of these living legends
Absolutely.
who are still with us.
Absolutely. And you've got to meet them when you can.
Exactly, exactly. They are a cherished piece of history, and we're fortunate
Absolutely.
to have them while we do. Can you tell me if there's a limit on the number of tickets that are being sold?
Absolutely. We're basically limiting this to our first 250 people who can come to the event, and we're already at 200. So
Okay.
it's close.
Wow. And how much are tickets?
Tickets are going to be $125 for non-members, $100 for members
And that's members of the museum.
of the Alaska Aviation Museum, correct?
Okay. So it sounds like this is an opportunity not to be missed.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for coming here and telling us about this Friday's activity. It's been a real pleasure having you on the show.
Great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't have plans for this Friday, the Hall of Fame induction celebration would be a great way to spend the evening. It's also a great way to honor some of the men and women that have contributed to the heritage and the history of aviation in Alaska. If you'd like to support the museum or to support the inductees, please consider joining the celebration this Friday at the Wings of Freedom hangar. Until next time, please fly and drive safely.
Light southeast winds up here on the north coast tomorrow, gradually increasing all southwesterly up to 25 knots for the south coast. Inside waters, southerlies at 20, but for northern Lynn Canal, north at 15 with 3-foot seas. Wednesday's outlook, southwest winds here 15 knots all along the coastline with seas running 8 or 9 feet. Inside waters, Stevens Passage, southeast at 10. About the same there for Clarence Strait, and southerlies 15 knots in the forecast for northern Lynn Canal. And for Cook Inlet and Prince William Sound, northeasterlies at 10 tomorrow. Light winds in the southern inlet to Kamishak Bay. Light variable winds both for Shelikof Strait and the Barrens. West winds increasing to 25 knots with seas building at 8 feet here along the east side of Kodiak Island. East-northeasterlies at 15 for the North Gulf Coast. And then for Tuesday, light variable winds for northern Cook Inlet. Southeast at about 15, Prince William Sound. South to southwest at 20 for the North Gulf Coast. Southwest 20 here east side of Kodiak Island. Staying light and variable for Shelikof Strait. Westerlies 10 to 15, Kachemak Bay onto the southern inlet. Bristol Bay tomorrow north at 15, northerlies at 20 there for the north side of the peninsula. To the south here, westerlies 20 to 25 knots, 8 to 10 foot seas. And for Wednesday, light variable winds now from Castle Cape to Cape Sarachev, but in the north side, northeast, but only at 15 knots, picking up to about 20 there in Bristol Bay. Out in the Aleutians for the Fox Islands, northeasterlies tomorrow, 15 to 20 knots, but Nikolsky may be in the stronger wind zone there for those northerlies, 30 to 35. Small current advisories for central Aleutians. High pressure, light variable winds there just west of Adak and then out towards Shimian at 2. Those southeast winds in the afternoon coming up to about 30. Well, on Wednesday, or tomorrow night into Wednesday, we've got storm warnings out here for the western Aleutians, and then good gales here for Adak and Atka, all out of the southeast, turning east at 20 knots, dropping down to 15 for the greater Dutch Harbor area. And for the southwest coast, northerlies, 25 to 30 knots here. So south of Nunivak Island, small craft advisories, brisk wind advisories there north across St. Lawrence Island, and also northerly winds at 25 here for the Pribilofs and St. Matthew Island. Then for Wednesday, lighter easterlies there for St. Paul and St. George, east to northeast 15 to 20 for the coast, north coming down to 10 knots there for St. Lawrence Island, but still easterly at 30 with freezing spray continuing. And up along the Arctic coast, west to northwest, 10 to 15 knots for the really the entire stretch of the coastline here. Brisk wind advisories, northerlies 25 from Wales up to Cape Thompson. And then for Wednesday, real light winds basically from the west here, all along the Arctic coast, 5 to 10 knots. And looks like from Cape Thompson to Cape Beaufort, strongest winds will be out of the northeast at about 15. For the tonight forecast, again, along and east of this trough axis, look for clouds, areas of light snow right up from the central interior of the Alaska Range, along the western slopes of the Alaska Range, all the way up to the eastern Arctic coast. Clouds increasing, chances of precipitation increasing, mainly western Prince William Sound, the Kenai Peninsula, across the Talkeetnas and Chugach. Showers continue for the southeast coast. Snow as this trough drops southward there, diminishing for the Pribilofs, but swinging through the eastern Aleutians. And then that drops southward and things taper off here for tomorrow. And snow chances again increasing here across Prince William Sound, right up into the central interior to the eastern Brooks Range area. More showers for the southeast coast. Have a great evening.
These forecasts are to be used for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.
Alyeska Pipeline Service Company, fueling philanthropic programs and dedicated to creating educational and professional opportunities for Alaska Native people.